We're going to go to your calls at the bottom of this segment. If you want to talk about the G8, you want to talk about this guy at the July 4th parade playing Alex Jones, trying to awaken people to true freedom, to the First Amendment, to what happened on 9/11. And then, of course, being arrested for it and accused of assault. Meanwhile, if he had actually assaulted anybody, it would be assault, not reckless endangerment. He hit 2 people with his car. Give me a break. You want to talk about that? You want to talk about the economy? You want to talk about audit the Fed? You want to talk about these bank closures? So much to talk about. Or you want to talk about Jim DeMint on the Senate floor basically slamming the Federal Reserve for what it is. Meanwhile, Bernanke last week, it's on the website. No, it's not. But, Congress would take over and it would just crash the dollar and the economy if we were audited. If we're audited, it ends it all. So, again, they are fighting this tooth and nail, and the media is just zip shut. They don't want to talk about it. And if they do talk about it on a rare occasion, it's in a negative light. Let's hit the clip.
I have another amendment. I have been informed that the majority plans to block consideration of this amendment, which is number 1367, regarding the transparency at the Federal Reserve. I would nonetheless like to take a few moments to discuss it, if that is
without objection.
Thank you. The Federal Reserve, the unelected central bank of the United States, enjoys a monopoly over the flow of our money and credit, but has never been completely transparent and accountable to Congress since its creation in 1913. Since 1913, our dollar has lost more than 95% of its purchasing power. My amendment is called the Federal Reserve Sunshine Amendment, and it is modeled after legislation sponsored by Representative Ron Paul of Texas in the House and our colleague Senator Sanders of Vermont here in the Senate. This amendment amends Section 714 of Title 31 of the U.S. Code to remove existing restrictions on how the Government Accounting Office can audit the Federal Reserve. With these limitations gone, the Fed's discount window operation, funding facilities, open market operations, and agreements with foreign central banks and governments would all be finally open to congressional oversight. The Government Accounting Office would be required to audit the Fed by the end of 2010 and to report its findings to Congress. Every dollar created by the Fed has an effect on the value of the dollars in our pockets and bank accounts. We need to pay more attention to the effect of Washington decisions, whether fiscal policy made by Congress or monetary policy made by the Fed. They all are ultimately borne by the American people. The Federal Reserve will create and disperse trillions of dollars in response to our current financial crisis. Americans across the nation, regardless of their opinion on the bailout, want to know where the money has gone, exactly how much has been spent, and what collateral has been taken in return. That is why you see so much bipartisan support in the House in Bernie Sanders and Jim DeMint being on the same side in the Senate. Inflation is a hidden tax, and we unfortunately forget about it too often when we are debating spending bills here in Congress. Our fiscal actions, higher deficits, increased long-term debt, entitlement obligations will necessarily need to be paid for by printing new money or borrowing more money from an increasingly skeptical world. Either option results in higher interest rates for consumers and a devaluing of the dollars they have already earned and saved. Allowing the Fed to operate our nation's monetary system in almost complete secrecy leads to abuse, inflation, and a lower quality of life for every American. Unfortunately, the majority has decided to use a procedural tactic to block a vote on this amendment by invoking something called Rule 16. This is a rule that prevents policy being added to spending bills. The majority claims that we do not legislate on appropriation bills. Of course, that is false. In fact, there are already Rule 16 violations in the bill we're trying to amend. We also saw this majority airdrop the Cash for Clunkers program into the recent supplemental appropriation bill. The majority may claim that this amendment is not relevant to the underlying bill, But in fact, there are already provisions in this bill related to the Government Accounting Office audits. So this language is quite appropriate on this bill. The legislation has already received the support of more than one-half of the House of Representatives within a few short months of its introduction. It's time for the Senate to show its support. Mr. President, I would like to ask the Majority Leader again to allow a vote on Amendment 1367 regarding a GAO audit of the Federal Reserve.
Senator from Nebraska.
All right, let's pull the clip right now. I mean, again, he's telling the truth there. They are operating in secrecy. They do want to shoot this down. He is one of the few senators, and again, Bernie Sanders is the independent, and he's joining courses. He can see that this is a false left-right paradigm, that the Federal Reserve is outside of government, and that this is a tax on the people through inflation. And by the way, the new buzzword or buzz terminology that's being used on these 24-hour news work is second stimulus package. We need a second stimulus. The $15+ trillion that they just gave away to the banks isn't enough. And they still say, it was only $750 billion. Read the Bloomberg reports. Understand it's much, much more. And they're going to do it again. They're going to do it as many times as they can before they completely eviscerate the dollar and this country, folks. All right, I'm going to go to your calls in just a moment, but I want to thank one of our great sponsors, Front Sight. That's SIGHT.com. That's frontsight.com. Dr. Ignatius Piazza, the founder of the Front Sight Firearms Training Institute, is offering a free handgun and 5 days of firearms training to the Alex Jones listeners. This offer is only available for a limited time because Dr. Piazza is literally paying his own money out of pocket to be able to offer you the best deal. It won't last forever, so listen up. You can attend 5 days of world-class gun training at the Front Sight Firearms Training Institute and secure a 30-state concealed weapon permit for pennies on the dollar. Act fast. They will give you a free Springfield Armory XD pistol in the caliber of your choice. It is frontsight.com. Go there right now. All right, let's jump to some callers. Let's go to John in Nevada. John, you're on the line.
It's Joe. Hey, Jason, how you doing?
Good, man.
I just wanted to let everyone know, real quick, that Customs and Border Patrol, in cahoots with DHS, has made a law, and it's about to go through. It's not going through the House and Senate like a normal law does. It's just an amendment or something, however they do it. Mm-hmm. They're reclassifying any pocket knife that you can open with one hand as a switchblade. Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. That is 8 out of 10 pocket knives will be banned, and we did report on that like 3 to 4 weeks ago. You're telling me it's in its final stages right now? It's in the final stages right now. Anyone can go to www.kniferights.org and write your senator. The only way that it can stop is if they vote to not fund it. Otherwise, anyone that carries any kind of pocket knife, be it even an old-time buck knife, is considered a switchblade because you can hold it by the blade and drop it. And that's called gravity. Yeah, no, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, even knives that I used to cut ropes with, I live out in the country, folks, are now going to be classified as illegal. Little 3-inch blades are going to be classified as illegal. Go check it out for yourselves. There's a great WorldNet Daily article about a month ago about this subject. Thank you so much. Let's go to Mike in Chicago. Mike, you're on the line.
Hey,
yes, sir.
Jason, how are you?
Good.
I have something, and I know you guys mentioned this over the years, but people are really, their short-term memory goes back to Monday, and that's about it. Mm-hmm. When we talk about this whole economic collapse, one of the things that seems to be ignored or at least avoided or whatnot is the fact that we were deindustrialized when Bill Clinton signed NAFTA.
Yes.
So, I mean, if people really want to put this in perspective to see that this is by design, I mean, they aren't doing this. We were deindustrialized under Bill Clinton. It wasn't,
well, let me say this, and further deindustrialized by the Bush administration in 2004 when they passed CAFTA, the Central American Free Trade Agreement.
Absolutely. Yeah. By doing so, they cut the whole bottom of our economy out, and it's just been draining ever since. Mm-hmm. I mean, this thought that these guys are any different, how is it any different if you're on the left side of a train or the right side of the train if the destination's the same? I mean, if I'm going from my home to Chicago and you're on the left side of the train and I'm on the right, there is no difference. We're going in the same direction no matter what. Mm-hmm. They may bring in some issues, but the train never turns. There's no intersections. We don't cross tracks. We don't go anywhere. We go straight ahead, and they just keep giving us a different figurehead to blame things on.
Exactly. And
until
again,
people realize that we're done. It's over.
No, it is over. Again, the last vestige of industry that we had in this country was the car industry, and it is over with. It is publicly gone, gutted. It is for a North American Union at this point. They are deindustrializing this country at a rate that, it's over. There's no benefits packages. We don't make anything anymore. It's dead. It's dead as a doornail. I thank you for the call.